Well, just start by telling me, this sounds quite interesting. I mean, you're trying to work out something from, what you do as a child and how that affects you in the future for osteoarthritis, is that right? So, what are you trying to find out? I guess if you're going to say it in one sentence, what's your aim with this?
So what we're doing is that main concept behind doing this is because osteoarthritis, there is no cure for it. So identifying modifiable risk factor is the most priority in these things, and we're finding out whether the physical activity or obesity in childhood is related to knee structural deformities, which can predict the development of osteoarthritis in later life. Okay. Because preventing these childhood factors can prevent the development of osteoarthritis.
All right, so you're looking at early childhood, or is there a particular time there? And you know what I mean? Just explain to us very briefly. Are we talking about, a 0 to 6, or are we talking about teenage years? What are you focusing on?
See, we were lucky to have a rich data set which was collected in 1985 in Australian Schools Health and Fitness Survey, where the school kids at the age of 7 to 15 years underwent various measurements of physical activity, physical fitness, and obesity measurements. And we tracked down these people after 25 years in their adulthood, and we repeated these measurements in their adulthood.
Wow, that must have been amazing to be able to find the same people.
Yeah, it was amazing because we had almost 9,000 school kids which was measured in 1985, but we were only able to track down to people of around 3,000 people in their adulthood. We lost the rest of the people, but still it was a good number to look at the associations.
So still enough for you to do something useful with that?
Really, it is really useful. Yeah.
Okay, so tell me the numbers again. You had how many in the beginning and how many at the end?
To be exactly, we had 8,500 school kids in the beginning, and then we followed up with almost 2,600 subjects in their adulthood after 25 years.
Okay. Were they happy to hear from you? Just, was it something that they found beneficial as well?
It was really, some of them are really happy to hear about these things because it's not a single study which aimed at the knee symptoms alone. It's a big cohort which looked at the risk factors which are associated with cardiovascular disease and diabetes and a lot more diseases. So knee symptoms and the knee osteoarthritis is just one part of the big cohort study.
Okay. What did you find? Did you find that there is a link? Are you at the point where you know that what you did as a child actually then correlates to what your outcome is as an adult?
Yeah, it was interesting for us to find because we didn't even expect that for this long period of time we'll have some associations existing between the childhood obesity and the knee pain. But we found that obese kids had a higher risk of having knee pain in their adulthood. And we further looked at the change in their obesity status, like the being normal in childhood and who became normal as well as who became overweight in their adulthood. And we found that that childhood obesity had an irreversible effect on the adulthood knee pain status.
So irreversible.
Yeah, irreversible.
That's really scary for some people. So if they do the wrong thing
in their childhood, that can persist even if they become normal weight in their adulthood. These things needs to be further confirmed in the studies because we had only few people, like less than 3% of subjects who were overweight in their childhood who became normal weight in their adulthood. You can imagine the prevalence of overweight status in childhood in 1985 was very low, like 4%. But if you look at the childhood school kids during this time, it may be higher. So we can't confirm this finding. This findings needs to be.
Back to that because obviously that's interesting. We've got more fast food, that sort of thing now. You're trying to say that back then there weren't as many kids who were overweight or obese?
No, obviously. We found that over 7% of school kids were only overweight in the whole 8,000 population or 8,500 population. So, which may not be the correct prevalence at this point of time because it was 1985. So, almost when they became adulthood, almost 47% of them were overweight. So you can see the change from 7% to 47%.
Now this is fascinating because if we've got more fast food, we know so much more. People should know better about looking after their bodies and not being overweight. But if we've now got more kids who are overweight, fat, obese, however you want to term it, and we know from what your research that what they do there is going to cause them a problem in their adulthood with osteoarthritis, which cannot be changed no matter if they lose that weight. This is crucial information that people should be listening to, isn't it? It's like a massive warning bell. Tell us about that.
Yeah, that's the advantage of what the long data we have as well. So we found that, as I mentioned before, only 3% of the people changed their status, like when they were overweight in their childhood, who became normal weight. So I cannot say as a concrete word that those who recovered their overweight status from childhood to adulthood will definitely have a knee pain. But from the data set what we have, it is showing that those who were overweight in their childhood had an irreversible effect, and this needs to be confirmed by further studies.
So what would you say to people? What would you say to mums and dads, to kids who are saying, hey, I want whatever and fries tonight? What message do you have for them? Like, if you've got the knowledge here, what do you say to them about what they should do?
The take-home message here is that what we found is further add to the existing evidences to say that childhood obesity is bad. Not only childhood, whatever obesity in whatever life stages is bad. So this adds to one more reason for you to be more careful, because you may have an irreversible effect on the childhood.
Okay. Yeah. What's the sort of message for parents?
Yeah. The take-home message from our study is that obesity as a child is really bad for your knees as well, because higher obese kids can have a higher knee pain in their adulthood. And so what we need to promote is that more exercise. As parents, we need to promote more exercise in their childhood, because we've also found that cardiorespiratory fitness measures and the leg strength measures were beneficially associated with the attainment of the more cartilage in their adulthood, as well as the bone mass. So more exercise, less obesity is the take-home message.
And is this a bit about sort of use it or lose it, or use it or and end up with an issue, or if you don't do the right thing now, you're really gonna struggle.
Especially that's the main focus, interesting idea which came out from this one is that you may have an irreversible effect. There is no choice for you, so you have to do it right at their childhood.
And you can extrapolate this out to other probably disease as well, I'd imagine. So it also could potentially be a saving in terms of healthcare costs, do you think, in the future, if we can stop it developing?
The main issue is that the ultimate outcome measure of the osteoarthritis is the knee joint replacement, and there is almost 40,000 replacement happening every year, hip and joint replacement happening in Australia. So if you can prevent the development of osteoarthritis in later life, that could save the government in millions in joint replacement surgeries.